Why this decision to walk, to leave the talks?
Well, for more than a decade, we've been attempting to get structures and processes in Northern Ireland that would move Northern Ireland forward. Regrettably, the decision by the Parades Commission runs against two of the core principles that were part of the St Andrews Agreement. One, of course, was that we had not accepted the Belfast Agreement because it allowed violence to continue. It allowed people to sit around a cabinet table while they could still use violence on the threat of violence. And at St Andrews, we insisted that there would be no further activity by the IRA. We insisted that they would give support to the police, they would get rid of their weapons, there would be an end of criminality. And we sit around an executive table without there being any threat of violence imposed upon us. However, the Parades Commission was threatened with the use of violence. There was a threat from those who are on the political front of catastrophic consequences if they were to allow the parade to go up the road. We had GARC coming out indicating that they would mobilise thousands of people to stop the parade, and the Parades Commission caved in. So that's counter to the very principle upon which we have moved forward with the institutions. The second key issue is that there was to be a respect and tolerance for the cultural expression of all our traditions in Northern Ireland. We have seen over the last number of weeks that there's no respect or tolerance at all for the Unionist traditions, and that there are people who say that even on a shared space, a public road, the Queen's Highway, that orange men should not walk. That isn't acceptable. I'm very happy to sit down with people and determine how a parade can take place in a manner that shows respect to all those who may be watching it. I'm quite happy to sit down with people to determine how tolerance can be shown in all of these matters. But to go into discussions on the basis of there will be no parade, next business please, that is not the way forward. And I think this is a decision that caves into violence. And as political leaders, we have to do something to make sure that it isn't violence on the streets that determines our future. So we're attempting to encourage people with the whole broad swathe of Unionist and Loyalist opinion having signed up to it, to indicate to people peaceful and lawful protest is the way forward, political action is the way forward, no violence on the streets.
Now, what would you say to the counter-argument, and Martin McGuinness and Jerry Kelly were saying it today, the Parades Commission is a lawfully established organisation. We would have respected its ruling no matter what it was. We may not have liked it, but we would have accepted it.
I'm not sure that that's a counter-argument. We're saying that no matter how daft they are, the Parades Commission have taken their decision. They have the legal authority to do it, and therefore we're legally obliged to accept that ruling. That's exactly what we're saying. And we're saying people do not go out onto the streets, do not cause violence on the streets, tearing up your own community, attacking the police, seeing civilians injured, seeing hundreds of young loyalists ending up with prison records. That's not the way forward. We're saying the decision has been taken. We will take the heat. We will, through the political process, carry out action, and we'll do it peacefully and we'll do it lawfully, and that's the way forward.
Now, clearly, there are hotheads around, and you can't be responsible for hotheads, but the fact that it's all the Unionist parties and the Loyalist-linked parties, is it almost implicit in that you, as you seem to be indicating, will be doing your best to make sure that there will be peace on the streets?
Well, it's explicit that it is the influence and advice and the urging of all of those leaders within the Unionist and Loyalist spectrum that there should be lawful behaviour on the streets, and that activity should be through peaceful and lawful protest, through political action. That is the way forward. And they're getting that leadership from the whole of the Unionist spectrum. And I would have thought that was something that other political parties, even those in opposition to us, would have applauded. I'm rather surprised at the narrative that I hear from some of them.
You mentioned, or the parties mentioned in the statement, graduated steps over the coming days that are going to be announced. Can you give us any indication as to what those steps might be, and is there a threat to the political institutions?
Well, it's not just the steps that will be graduated. It will be the publishing of what those steps are that will be graduated. It would be nonsense for us to say here's the first step, the second, third and fourth. We have decided what the first step in the process will be. We have announced what that will be, and when we're ready to announce further steps, we will do so.
But are the institutions under threat?
The institutions have been put under threat by the behaviour of the Parades Commission and those who threatened the Parades Commission. It's up to us to seek a peaceful response, and we trust that along the line people will recognise the importance of having respect and tolerance for the cultural expression of our tradition, and that violence will no longer be allowed to be the determining factor when decisions are being taken.
So clearly the talks that have been going on here for the last couple of days or so, kaput, finished.
Well, there were two insurmountable obstacles. One in relation to the past, when it was exposed the scandal that took place with letters of comfort being given to on-the-run terrorists. Clearly we can't resolve the issues around the past until we have the outcome of the inquiry into those matters. Now we have the situation where in discussions with the Parades Commission and in discussions between the representatives of the organisers of the parade and residents, it has been made clear that there is no toleration for a return parade. That indicates to us that people start off on the basis of no parades rather than a presumption in favour of parades, which is what the legal responsibility